The hushed reverence of the Grand Palais exhibition hall pressed in on me, thick and suffocating. Spotlights illuminated the centerpiece of the avant-garde sculpture exhibit, ephemeral echoes, a breathtaking, gravity-defying structure of interwoven light and shadow that seemed to pulse with a life of its own. The crowd, a sea of art critics, wealthy collectors, and fawning admirers, murmured their appreciation. And there, bathed in the adulation, stood Julian Thorne, my former mentor, his face radiating a smug, self-satisfied glow as he accepted congratulations for his masterpiece. My masterpiece. My heart hammered against my ribs, a frantic drumbeat of fury and betrayal. He had stolen my soul, my vision, the very essence of my artistic being, and paraded it on the world stage as his own. But as the cameras flashed and the applause reached a crescendo, a grim smile touched my lips. Julian had no idea that woven into the very fabric of ephemeral echoes, invisible to the naked eye, lay my secret, my silent witnesses, waiting for the precise moment to expose his theft and shatter his carefully constructed illusion forever. I, Ilara, a young, fiercely passionate sculptor, poured my heart and soul into developing a truly unique artistic concept. My mentor, the celebrated artist Julian Thorne, recognizing its potential, subtly manipulated and ultimately stole my creation, presenting it as his own to achieve international acclaim and devastating my burgeoning career. This is the story of how I endured this profound artistic betrayal and meticulously planned a silent, symbolic revenge, embedding my truth within the stolen artwork itself, ensuring his spectacular public downfall at the pinnacle of his fraudulent success. From the moment my fingers first touched clay, I knew that art was not just a passion, but a visceral necessity. Growing up in a quiet suburban town in the American Midwest, art was my escape, my language, my way of making sense of a world that often felt chaotic and incomprehensible. I sculpted in secret, in the dusty corner of our modest garage, pouring my youthful emotions and burgeoning artistic sensibilities into rough, imperfect forms. When I finally had the opportunity to attend the prestigious Rhode Island School of Design, RISD, it felt like a dream realized. Surrounded by like-minded individuals, I flourished, my talent honed by rigorous training and the inspiring energy of the artistic community. It was there that I met Julian Thorne. He was a visiting professor at the time, a sculptor of international renown, known for his groundbreaking work with light and space, creating ephemeral, almost ethereal installations. He saw something in my raw talent, a spark of originality that he nurtured and encouraged. He became my mentor, offering invaluable guidance, critique, and access to a world of artistic possibilities I had only dared to imagine. Under Julian's mentorship, my work evolved. He pushed me to experiment with unconventional materials, to explore the interplay of light and shadow, to delve deeper into the conceptual underpinnings of my sculptures. He introduced me to influential figures in the art world, showcasing my early pieces in small, local galleries. I was his protege, his bright young hope. I admired him immensely, not just for his artistic genius, but also for his seemingly unwavering integrity and his passionate belief in the power of art to transcend boundaries. I trusted him implicitly, sharing my most innovative ideas, my conceptual sketches, and even my deepest artistic anxieties. For my final thesis project, I conceived of a sculpture that I tentatively titled Ephemeral Echoes. It was a radical departure from traditional forms, a delicate, intricate structure of interwoven optical fibers and strategically placed mirrors, designed to capture and refract ambient light, creating an ever-shifting play of luminous patterns and ethereal shadows. The concept was deeply personal, inspired by the fleeting nature of memory and the intangible echoes of human experience. I spent countless nights in the studio, painstakingly crafting each element, meticulously calculating the angles and refractions, imbuing the piece with layers of symbolic meaning that spoke to my own journey as an artist. I shared my progress with Julian, my excitement bubbling over as the sculpture began to take shape. He was initially enthusiastic, praising the originality of the concept and the technical complexity of the execution. He offered insightful suggestions, helping me refine certain aspects of the design. He even arranged for me to have a larger studio space to accommodate the growing scale of the piece. I felt incredibly fortunate to have such a supportive mentor, someone who truly believed in my vision. Then, the subtle shifts began. Julian started spending more time in my studio, observing my work with an almost possessive intensity. He began asking more detailed questions about the underlying symbolism, the specific techniques I was employing, the precise mathematical calculations behind the light refractions. He even started making minor adjustments to the piece when I wasn't there, subtly altering the angles or repositioning elements. I initially brushed it off as a mentor's keen eye, a desire to see his protégé's work reach its full potential. But a seed of unease began to take root in my mind. The unease grew into a chilling suspicion when the announcement for the prestigious International Avant-Garde Sculpture Exhibition in Paris was released. Julian Thorne was listed as one of the featured artists, and the description of his entry, a piece titled Ephemeral Reflections, bore an uncanny resemblance to my ephemeral echoes. The description spoke of interwoven light and shadow, of capturing the fleeting nature of memory, of an intricate structure defying gravity. The similarities were too striking to be coincidental. I confronted Julian, my voice trembling with a mixture of disbelief and rising anger. He was dismissive, condescending. He claimed that great minds think alike, that the concept was a natural evolution of his own artistic explorations. He downplayed my work as a student project, lacking the sophistication and depth of his own vision. He even had the audacity to suggest that I was flattered by the comparison. The betrayal cut deep, leaving a wound that went far beyond professional jealousy. This wasn't just about a stolen idea, it was about the theft of my artistic identity, the erasure of my creative voice. Julian, the man I had admired and trusted, had systematically appropriated my life's work, using his established reputation and influence to claim it as his own. My final thesis project, the culmination of years of dedication and passion, was now poised to become his triumph on the international stage, while my own career was effectively stillborn. The injustice was crushing, but beneath the despair, a fierce, quiet resolve began to form. He might have stolen my vision, but he would never steal my truth. The initial shock of Julian's betrayal threatened to paralyze me. The art world, once a beacon of inspiration, now felt like a treacherous landscape. But I refused to be silenced. I realized that confronting him directly would be futile against his established power and persuasive rhetoric. My revenge would have to be subtle, a silent infiltration into his stolen creation, a way to embed my truth within his lie. I knew ephemeral reflections, while undeniably based on my ephemeral echoes, would not be an exact replica. Julian, despite his talent, lacked the intimate understanding of the piece's underlying symbolism, the personal narratives woven into its structure. This was my vulnerability, but also my opportunity. I resolved to subtly alter the original design blueprints, creating a parallel, almost invisible layer of meaning within the sculpture itself. Using my intimate knowledge of the piece's construction, I devised a series of minute, almost imperceptible modifications. I subtly shifted the angles of certain light-refracting crystals, creating faint, unique patterns of light that would only be visible under specific conditions. These patterns were not random, they were a visual representation of my initials, subtly encoded within the play of light. I also replaced several seemingly identical optical fibers with ones that contained microscopic, almost invisible etchings, tiny artistic motifs that were deeply personal to me, symbols that held significant meaning within my own artistic journey. These signatures were so minute that they would be virtually impossible to detect without specialized microscopic analysis, the kind no casual observer, or even Julian himself, would ever conduct. Furthermore, I made almost imperceptible adjustments to the structural framework of the sculpture. I introduced a series of nearly invisible counterweights and internal connections that, while not affecting the overall aesthetic or stability, created a unique, almost imperceptible harmonic resonance when the sculpture was subjected to specific, low-frequency vibrations. This subtle hum, imperceptible to the human ear under normal circumstances, was a unique acoustic fingerprint tied to my specific modifications in the structural balance. My actions were a silent act of rebellion, a way to reclaim ownership of my creation on a deeply personal, almost spiritual level. Julian might present ephemeral reflections to the world, basking in the stolen glory, but within its heart, it would forever bear my invisible mark, a testament to my true authorship, waiting for the moment of revelation. As Julian Thorne prepared for his grand debut at the International Avant-Garde Sculpture Exhibition in Paris, I retreated into the shadows, meticulously planning the next phase of my strategy. I knew that exposing him before the exhibition would likely result in a he said, she said scenario, easily dismissed by the art establishment eager to embrace a celebrated figure like Julian. My revenge needed to be timed perfectly to coincide with his moment of greatest triumph, ensuring maximum impact and undeniable proof. I focused on building my own credibility, quietly continuing my artistic work, developing new pieces, and documenting every stage of my creative process with meticulous detail, including dated sketches, prototypes, and digital models. I established a secure online portfolio showcasing my earlier work, including detailed documentation of ephemeral echoes, complete with my original design blueprints and conceptual notes, all timestamped and digitally signed. This online archive would serve as irrefutable evidence of my prior creation, accessible to anyone willing to look. Meanwhile, Julian's star was ascending rapidly. Ephemeral Reflections garnered immense pre-exhibition buzz. Critics lauded its originality and breathtaking beauty, hailing Julian as a visionary genius pushing the boundaries of contemporary sculpture. He gave numerous interviews, eloquently speaking about the inspiration behind the piece, conveniently omitting any mention of a young protégé named Ilara Vance. His arrogance grew with each glowing review, his pronouncements about his artistic process becoming increasingly grandiose and self-serving. The opening night of the exhibition was a glittering affair. Julian, the celebrated master, held court, surrounded by admirers and influential figures. Ephemeral Reflections stood as the majestic centerpiece, bathed in carefully orchestrated lighting, its ethereal beauty captivating all who beheld it. I watched from a distance, an anonymous observer in the crowd, my heart a cold knot of anticipation. Julian's moment of ultimate triumph was drawing near. The exhibition was scheduled to culminate in a prestigious awards ceremony, where Julian was the frontrunner to receive the coveted Golden Muse Award for Innovation in Sculpture. This was the stage I had chosen for his downfall. The Golden Muse Award ceremony was held in a grand theater adjacent to the exhibition hall. The atmosphere was thick with anticipation, the air crackling with the energy of the art world's elite. Julian Thorne sat in the front row, radiating confidence, a smug smile playing on his lips as the presenter lauded Ephemeral Reflections as a groundbreaking masterpiece. I was seated further back, my gaze fixed on the stage, my hand resting on a small, unassuming device concealed in my handbag. Knowing that simply presenting my prior designs might still be dismissed as coincidence, I needed a more dramatic, undeniable form of proof, a live demonstration of the unique signatures I had embedded within the stolen sculpture. I had spent weeks meticulously researching the Grand Palais ventilation system, obtaining schematics and analyzing the airflow patterns within the exhibition hall. I discovered that the building's climate control system generated subtle, low-frequency vibrations that resonated throughout the structure. Using this knowledge, I had designed a small, portable ultrasonic emitter disguised as a harmless electronic gadget. This device, when activated, could generate specific low-frequency sound waves, imperceptible to the human ear, that would induce the unique harmonic resonance within ephemeral reflections, the acoustic fingerprint created by my subtle structural modifications. Furthermore, I had contacted a trusted friend, a talented lighting technician with whom I had worked during my academy days. I explained the situation, omitting the details of my plan, but emphasizing the artistic injustice I had suffered. He, sympathetic to my plight and recognizing Julian's often abrasive personality, agreed to subtly adjust the lighting sequence focused on ephemeral reflections during the awards ceremony. He would create a brief, specific lighting configuration, a particular angle and intensity of light, that would momentarily reveal the hidden patterns of light created by my strategically placed crystals, showcasing my encoded initials for those who knew where to look. As the presenter finally announced Julian Thorne as the recipient of the Golden Muse Award, a wave of nausea mixed with exhilaration washed over me. Julian rose to the stage, basking in the thunderous applause, ready to deliver his acceptance speech. This was my moment. As he began to speak, his voice dripping with self-congratulatory platitudes, I discreetly activated my ultrasonic emitter. A silent pulse of low-frequency sound waves filled the air, imperceptible to the audience, but causing ephemeral reflections in the adjacent hall to subtly vibrate. Simultaneously, my friend backstage triggered the pre-arranged lighting sequence. Sold. To the gentleman in the back row. The gavel came down with a resounding final crack. Julian Thorne stood at the podium, the Golden Muse gleaming in his hand, his voice echoing with practiced humility. I am deeply honored and profoundly grateful to receive this prestigious award for ephemeral reflections, he declared, his gaze sweeping over the captivated audience. This sculpture is a testament to years of artistic exploration, a culmination of my lifelong fascination with the interplay of light and shadow, the ephemeral nature of human experience. As he continued his self-aggrandizing speech, a subtle shift began to occur in the adjacent exhibition hall. The low-frequency vibrations from my device resonated through ephemeral reflections, causing the hidden counterweights and connections within the sculpture to interact, creating the unique, almost inaudible harmonic hum, my acoustic signature. At the same moment, the carefully orchestrated lighting sequence backstage began. For a fleeting few seconds, a precisely angled beam of light struck ephemeral reflections, illuminating a specific section of the intricate crystal network. And there, subtly woven into the refracted light patterns, visible only from a certain vantage point and for a brief instant, were the faint, unmistakable forms of my initials, EV projected onto the sculpture itself, a silent, luminous accusation. A few members of the audience, those with a keen eye or those I had subtly alerted beforehand, gasped softly. Among them was a respected art critic known for her sharp intellect and meticulous attention to detail, who had been following my work since my academy days. She recognized the fleeting light patterns instantly. As Julian continued his speech, oblivious to the subtle drama unfolding in the next room, I activated the final stage of my plan. I sent an anonymous, encrypted message containing a single, time-stamped close-up photograph of the light-projected EV initials on ephemeral reflections, along with a link to my online portfolio showcasing my original ephemeral echoes designs, to several key art journalists and influential figures in the audience. Within seconds, phones began to buzz and whisper. People discreetly looked at the photograph, then back at Julian and the sculpture. The resemblance between ephemeral reflections and my documented ephemeral echoes designs became undeniable, especially with the visual proof of my hidden initials now circulating. The art critic I had alerted stood up, her voice clear and carrying through the stunned silence that was beginning to fall over the theater. "Excuse me, Mr. Thorne," she called out, her tone sharp and accusatory. "Your ephemeral reflections, it bears a striking resemblance to the earlier work of your former student, Ilara Vance." And some of us have just received compelling evidence of a deeper connection. Julian froze, his confident facade crumbling instantly. His eyes darted around the room, landing on the confused and increasingly suspicious faces in the audience. He stammered, attempting to dismiss the critic's comment as baseless speculation, but the seed of doubt had been sown. More whispers broke out, fueled by the circulating photograph and the growing unease. Then, as if on cue, a faint, almost imperceptible hum emanated from the adjacent hall, a low, resonant thrum that seemed to vibrate through the very floor of the theater, my acoustic signature. A silent testament to the truth embedded within his stolen creation. The combination of the visual evidence and the subtle, inexplicable sound was too much to ignore. Julian Thorne's moment of triumph had been irrevocably shattered, replaced by a rapidly spreading wave of suspicion and the dawning realization that his carefully constructed lie had been exposed, not with accusations, but with the silent, undeniable language of art itself. The fallout from the Golden Muse ceremony was immediate and devastating for Julian Thorne. The art critics' pointed accusation, coupled with the circulating photographic evidence and the unsettling hum emanating from his sculpture, ignited a firestorm of controversy. The media descended, eager to uncover the truth behind the striking similarities between Ephemeral Reflections and Alara Vance's earlier Ephemeral Echoes. My online portfolio, now widely circulated, provided irrefutable proof of my original concept and design, complete with time-stamped documentation predating Julian's masterpiece by several years. The photographic evidence of my subtly embedded initials within Ephemeral Reflections became the smoking gun, undeniable proof of his intellectual theft. The Golden Muse Award was swiftly revoked. Galleries that had eagerly sought to exhibit Julian's work began to distance themselves. His reputation, once stellar, plummeted, tarnished by accusations of plagiarism and professional dishonesty. The art world, fiercely protective of originality and integrity, turned its back on him. His career, built on a foundation of stolen ideas, crumbled into dust. As for me, Alara Vance, the quiet student whose vision was stolen, the revelation brought a wave of unexpected support and recognition. The art world, initially captivated by Julian's fabricated genius, now rallied around the true creator. My earlier works gained newfound attention, and I received numerous offers for exhibitions and commissions. The injustice I had suffered became a powerful narrative, a testament to the resilience of the artistic spirit and the enduring power of originality. This harrowing experience taught me that while ambition can corrupt and talent can be exploited, true artistic integrity cannot be stolen. The essence of creation lies not just in the final form, but in the unique vision and the personal journey embedded within the work. And sometimes, the most powerful form of revenge is not a shout of anger, but a quiet, persistent truth, woven into the very fabric of the stolen dream, waiting for the light to reveal its silent, indelible signature.